Hello everybody, my name is Michael. As always, I'm a registered clinical counselor in BC. I help people with a number of difficulties including depression, anxiety, stress, couples issues, etc. Today, we are continuing our video series of awareness exercises. We've done a few in the past, noticing the window of tolerance, paying attention to the body and how it works. Today, we're going to go more in depth with the body. Some of these concepts might be explored before, but this is kind of what I felt like talking about today. All of my videos are just based on what I'm feeling and what might be useful. And if you're one of my clients, this could be very, very helpful for you. Today we're going to be talking about the nervous system. That's going to be the big piece of it. In order to talk about the nervous system, we have to discuss it in terms of three main states that the nervous system can kind of find itself into. And these states are determined, or they're parts of, physiologically, the vagus nerve. Now the vagus nerve is right over here, and it's a connection point. This is not exactly what it looks like, but it connects to many, many different parts of the body. It kind of spreads to a lot of places. And there are actually three different distinct places for it. There's a ventral piece, there's a dorsal piece, so the under portion, this is the top portion, as well as the fight or flight piece, somewhere in the middle. Today we're going to be describing each of these states and talking about what they're like, how they feel. This might be an exercise that you go ahead and do at home. The reason why is because when you have some clarity around mental health, when you understand which state that you're in, you can more likely think about or utilize strategies to catch yourself. In addition, when we describe things in a biological way, we take away things like self-blame. Sometimes people can get stuck in certain states of nervous systems. And we're going to talk about that further. The first part of the vagus nerve is the regulated or ventral state. This state is responsible for a number of different things, but it is typically associated with feeling pretty good. Very social. Kind of like you're part of a team. The world feels safe and secure. I feel loved. It's a good piece. It's a good place to be. On another side of it, this is kind of the sympathetic state. This is kind of known as an anxious state. Anger can sometimes come from here. As I said, there's fight or flight, running away, or killing or fighting, right? That's a difficulty. The heart rate's going to come up here. This is responsible for our danger sense. Remember, this is all functions of the vagus nerve so far. In addition, this comes with a great deal of fear. The world is scary. I feel afraid. And unlike the regulated state, which is pretty much constantly good, the sympathetic state has both positives and negatives. It is a great and amazing place to be when you're running from a bear. Not so great a place to be when you're doing a presentation at school. The final and last place is the collapsed state. We can sometimes call this the depressed state, low energy. Muscle tension might go down, reduced heart rate, right? Feelings of lethargy. Sometimes people feel like in this state, this is the state where they feel like they procrastinate a lot. But this is also a really bad state. At the latter end of depression, people give up. They feel hopeless. Oftentimes, people who stay in this state enough, addictions can be something that come up. And in each of these specific states, we have to describe where we're at. And you will have a different feeling from me. In my regulated state, I truly feel safe. I need people around me in order to make that happen. Sometimes I feel actually cool. In terms of my feelings, I feel cool, regulated, intelligent, and responsible. For people in the orange or the sympathetic state, in this state, I sometimes feel pretty comfortable in this state. I deal well with pressure. That's good for me. I like to be in this state for a little while, but it's not for too long. Sometimes stress colors into my personal life. I no longer have a work-life balance. I feel hot, angry, more irritable, and not as patient as I would like. In the collapse state, we have all felt this. This is sometimes a state that I feel like early in the morning, right? In this state, I feel as if I have no muscular control. I'm just completely exhausted. I can't even move. I don't want to work out. I don't want to do anything at all, right? That is a challenging part about it. As we kind of look at what often can happen in these states, well, you can kind of get stuck in them. If we're thinking about where we want to be, in terms of optimal arousal over here, sympathetic arousal, and this feeling of collapse, we have to also determine what is happening to us when we get hit with depression. Well, we can sometimes get stuck in a state of collapse. Sometimes this can lead to that addiction piece like I talked about, that depression that we're talking about. And you can stay here, and that's because of homeostasis. Your body does not like change, and when it's getting hit over and over and over again, it can get used to where it is. It's the same for anxiety. It takes smaller and smaller things to trigger you. Smaller and smaller and smaller things. Before, it was going on dates, trying to find a girlfriend maybe. Next time, it was doing homework assignments. Next time, simply going outside is too hard. This is where the anxious state feels, especially socially anxious. There's a lot of pressure we feel in the world, worrying about the future. A big part about this, worrying about past failures. Where would we like to be? In the regulated state. We'd like to stay here. And we have to work on our strategies to help us pull ourselves towards a sympathetic state. And how do we end up doing that? Well, we're talking about mindfulness, like we've talked about before. In mindfulness, we feel regulated. We feel safe, secure, and responsible. And with a comprehensive mindfulness program, a number of benefits can occur. Right over the course of a 2 to 4 week period, you can find reductions in depression, anxiety, guilt, and stress, like we had talked about. Over the course of an 8-week mindfulness program, studies show that the brain can make noticeable changes. And of course, these statistics are different for every single person, but the benefits cannot be understated. And if we are stuck in a state of collapse for so long, we need the consistency of a mindfulness program. We need to come back here. And that's why doing it once per day, every day, is so important. Create a routine around the mindfulness. Understand which state that you're in. Feel those states. Justify those feelings. You're allowed to feel sad and tired and stressed. But try to do things to pull yourself back in. I appreciate your time. My name is Michael. I'm an RCC, and wow, look at that huge mess that we've made.